Here's a story for us to think about. In Washington, D.C., at a metro station on a cold January morning in 2007, a man with a violin played 6 Bach pieces for about 45 minutes. During that time, approximately 2,000 people went through the station, most of them on their way to work. After about 4 minutes, a middle-aged man noticed that there was a musician playing. He slowed his pace and stopped for a few seconds, and then he hurried on to meet his schedule. About 4 minutes later, the violinist received his first $1. A woman threw money in the hat and, without stopping, continued to walk. At 6 minutes, a young man leaned against the wall to listen to him, then looked at his watch and started on again. At 10 minutes, a 3-year-old boy stopped, but his mother tugged him along hurriedly. The kid stopped to look at the violinist again, but his mother pushed hard, and the child continued to walk, turning his head the whole time. This action was repeated by several other children, but every parent, without exception, forced their children to move on quickly. At 45 minutes, the musician played continuously. Only 6 people stopped and listened for a short while. About 20 gave money, but continued to walk at their normal pace. The man collected a total of $32. After 1 hour, he finished playing, and silence took over. No one noticed, and no one applauded. There was no recognition at all. No one knew this, but the violinist was Joshua Bell, one of the greatest musicians in the world. He played one of the most intricate pieces ever written, with a violin worth $3.5 million. 2 days before, Joshua Bell sold out a theater in Boston where the seats averaged $100 each to sit and listen to him play the same music. Rabbi Yisrael Berneath says this: "This is a true story. Joshua Bell playing incognito in the D.C. metro station was organized by the Washington Post as part of a social experiment about perception, taste, and people's priorities. This experiment raised several questions. In a commonplace environment at an inappropriate hour, do we perceive beauty? If so, do we stop to appreciate it? Do we recognize talent in an unexpected context? One possible conclusion reached from this experiment could be this: if we do not have a moment to stop and listen to one of the best musicians in the world, playing some of the finest music ever written, with one of the most beautiful instruments ever made, how many other things are we missing as we rush through life? Do we notice when God's light comes into the world? Do we notice an epiphany when we see it? Today's gospel story has Jesus changing water into wine. Do we only see a miracle that Jesus performed 2,000 years ago? The theologian Marcus Borg says in his book, The Heart of Christianity, that John's gospel story of the wedding at Cana should not be taken literally, but metaphorically. We miss the bigger truth of the Gospel of John if we see only the miracle. Borg says, so, what is the story of Jesus about? according to John's inaugural story of Jesus' public activity, it's about a wedding. More, it's about a wedding banquet. More, it's about a wedding banquet at which the wine never runs out. More, it's about a wedding banquet at which the wine never runs out, and the best is saved for last. Borg goes on and says, the story of the wedding at Cana invites us to see that the story of Jesus is about this: a party with good food, lots of wine, and the best still to come. Can we therefore see a bigger picture where God is changing water into wine in our lives? How about looking at the familial love between a parent and a child, or the caring love between members of our worshiping community, or the acceptance love of people that look different but are all images of God? How can we let this light shine into our lives? John Middlestad talked about living in gratitude several weeks ago. How would our hearts change if we said thanks more? Thanks for the taste of friendships and companionships we have. Thanks for the gift of those who pick up the garbage every week. Thanks for the nurses and doctors who keep us ticking. What if we looked at things with more awe? Did you see the sunrise several days ago? Brilliant reds and oranges splashed with yellow. What about the amazing birds and animals and plants that nourish our souls and bodies? And what about that music that lifts our hearts? There are a lot of hurting, invisible people in our world, those we bump into every day. Can we share the light of Christ with the cold, homeless ones living in our streets? Can we toughen up and share light with the people of opposing political parties? Can we turn God's light on people of color who have histories that contradict ours? We are good people here at St. Paul's, and we have many different gifts to share. We can share the Epiphany light with others without a lot of extra work. Be who we are in the world and come to the wedding feast. Play the violin and let's have some wine. Amen.